What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Playmaker Way with the playbook. Hoping you're having a great day, morning, or evening. And y'all read the title, man. I just achieved a 94% win rate using this simple trading strategy. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. I appreciate you giving this video a chance. Make sure to hit that bell and sub button because we don't just post weekly trade breakdowns like this, but we also post weekly stock analysis, weekly crypto analysis and plays. And most importantly, we live stream and live trade every day, London session 3 a.m. EST on this very same channel. So we're not your typical investment channel, your typical trading channel. We show you how to make money both on the front end as well as on the back end, meaning how to make both passive as well as active income when it comes to investing and when it comes to the charts. Now, of course, for all the naysayers, all you gotta do is hit that first link in the description, join the free signal, free Telegram, then scroll your way up to the beginning of the month, May 2nd. You can see we did the recap of last month. Last month, April, we caught a total of 68,765 pips. Ended the month 16-1, only took one loss last month, giving us a 94% win rate. All you got to do is click this blue highlighted. It's going to take you to the beginning of April. We do recap the week at the end of every week, recap the day at the end of every day. And at the beginning of the week, we drop the Sunday chart analysis going over all the high impact news for the week and going over not just what we see price doing Sunday night going into Monday, but what we see price doing throughout the entire week. Literally everything's dated, timed, and documented. Every trade we take, we break down during the London session live. If not, as well enter them. So you literally can't make none of this stuff up, right? If you want to fact check me, again, everything's dated, timed, and documented. All you gotta do is scroll and you can see the stuff for yourselves. I want to give a special shout out to the members and students, y'all. We have been going absolutely crazy, as you can see, and the result and the proof is in the pudding. Let me show you some of the student results we got recently. Shout out to my boy Ethan, made $300 in 2 hours. GJ last week. You can see the screenshot. He says, just like what you said during our one-on-one sessions the other day, don't overthink, keep it simple. The playbook works. So you see he sent the screenshot. Then we got my boy Isaac. All right, you can't see the top of the screenshot, but he was in the London session live. He said, apply what I learned in the course. Once the news kicked in, it just kept going. And this was last week. I think it was either Thursday or Wednesday last week, I can't remember, but he made $3,000 in one day. And you want to see the trade breakdown for this, it's going to be in the comments, so make sure to watch the trade breakdown for this after this video. Then we got my boy Jordan, man. My boy Jordan's been going crazy. I ain't gonna put all the info out there, but he's up over 200K on prop firm challenges. I don't know what he's doing with his personal accounts, but you can see this is the day, April 25th, made 300, almost 400 on the day. And then you can see what he said right here. Thanks, Wes. I see you caught that National 100 push. He's in the signal room as well as a student. And like I always say, just rinse and repeat. He said, yes, enjoy your weekend, Way. I said, you too, man. So we're about to break down how we have such a high win rate, how we catch so many pips on a weekly and daily basis, and how we minimize our losses. It's very, very, very simple. So we're going to be breaking down this gold trade we took, all right? You can see right here, this was a nice 1-to-2 risk-reward ratio setup, meaning whatever risk we made 2 times that amount. So for example, I would have risked $100, I would have made $200. If I would have risked $1,000, I would have made $2,000 off this one trade alone. So we're about to break down how we catch similar setups like this, how we catch big setups like this, and much, much, much more. So the first thing you have to do in order to understand what you need to go for, buys or sells, you first need to identify the trend. Now, you don't just want to identify the trend on any time frame. You want to identify the trend on the bigger time frames. Again, we're just identifying the trend on the bigger time frames. We're not trading on the bigger time frames. The reason why we need to identify the trend on the bigger time frames is because that is how price moves. Price moves on a day by day, week by week, month by month basis. So in order to understand exactly what direction price is going, we have to go on the bigger time frames. The smaller time frames only explain and show you what price is doing at that exact moment, versus the bigger time frames tell you the direction price has been going and is currently going. And the best way to understand what trend we're in and how to properly go about the charts and investing and trading is to cop the price action and technical analysis playbook. All right, this is an ebook. It works on stocks, forex, options, and crypto. This book teaches you the rules of the uptrend, the rules of the downtrend, goes over all 3 cycles. It goes over how to know exactly what's happening at all times and never be confused. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean, the proof's in the pudding. We're about to break it down right now. So as we can clearly see here, we have an obvious uptrend. So since we're in an uptrend, we need to go to the rules of the uptrend. Now, this is what the rules of the uptrend, well, there's a lot more to it, but of course you gotta get the ebook to see the whole book. But in order for the uptrend to continue, we need to break past the previous high, which gives us a new higher high. We also have to respect the support level the higher low is resting on. So we can see here, higher high, higher low, higher high. So like the book just said, we have to respect the support level the higher low is resting on. And then we also have to break this resistance level and treat it as support to give us that new higher high. Now, the reason why I have these levels red and these levels are blue and gold is because these are my key price levels. What I'm marking off here is strictly just the highs and the lows so y'all can visibly see what we're talking about, okay? So at this time, I know you're thinking, but wait, that was just a sell setup you showed. Well, again, in order to understand why we took that sell setup, you got to understand what led to price doing that. So when we hit the play button, we can kind of see that. So we see price rejected this level, right? So what does the playbook say about rejections and reversals? It says rejections and reversals happen, but a reversal doesn't always mean the trend is going to change. As long as price doesn't turn the support level into a resistance and or make a lower low, we are still in an uptrend and still only looking for buys. So price can reject this level, but as long as it doesn't treat it as resistance, we're not going to look for sells. We're going to still look for buys. So when we hit the play button, we can see exactly why we're going to wait for that retest confirmation. And we can see again why. So who would have jumped the gun and went for a sell? We would have got wicked out, fell for fake outs, liquidity sweeps, all that stuff, instead of just patiently waiting to see if price is going to hold this low as support or reverse and start the downtrend. Boom. After price did this, that's when we wanted to start looking for sells because price is no longer holding this low as support. It is now holding this level as resistance, meaning the bearish momentum is about to come into play. Okay. And then Thursday, the next day, indicated that. You see how simple that is? The support level got turned to a resistance and we saw a lower low come into play. So we're no longer in the uptrend, right? Because it says as long as price doesn't, but price did, which is why you see here, price chilled here for a little bit until the volume picked up. And then we had a nice drop to the downside. So after we saw price do this on Thursday, I was like, we're in a downtrend, so we're definitely gonna be looking for sells Friday. So now that we understand what took place prior to the sell setup on Friday, now that we understand that we're now in a downtrend and need to look for sells, this is when you mark off your key price levels. So now that we got our key price levels marked off, now that we've identified the trend, now that we know what we're looking for, which is sells, because again, you only want to look for buys in the uptrend, you only want to look for sells in the downtrend. This is then when we go into the smaller time frame to look for our confirmation to see exactly where we're going to enter at. So not only do we want to only strictly look for sells in a downtrend, but we want to only look for sells and enter sells off of resistance levels. And you only want to enter buys off of support levels, right? Enter buys off support, sells off resistance levels. So this is what price was looking like Thursday going into the end of New York session. So we're about to fast forward a little bit, going into Tokyo session, going into London session, right? So we're going to fast forward a little bit. Just going to fast forward a little bit. All right, so now we're in Tokyo session, right? So we're about to enter London session in a few hours. So from this point, we want to see price maintain and hold this low as resistance, especially because price has not done so yet. We see here volume picked up and broke through this level. So now we want to see, since price is retracing, if we can maintain and hold this level as resistance. All right, so this is where the patience comes into play. But again, we still want to look for sells because we're in a downtrend. But for the downtrend to continue, we're going to need to break this level, hold it as resistance, which price failed to do so earlier, which is why price rejected. So as we fast forward going into London session, we can see price tapped and treat that as resistance, right? But this wasn't exactly London session. Now this is London session. So you're about to see a perfect example of why you never want to chase trades. You always want to follow your rules and wait for the retest confirmation. Because imagine if we got into London session and I saw price dropped, already held this level as resistance, and I decided to FOMO in out of fear of missing this move. Look what happened. I would have missed out on the perfect entry that I was actually looking for just due to impatience. And I know we've all been here before. Just imagine, you know you're supposed to wait for a setup at a certain price point, but because you think you're about to miss out on the move or the move's about to take off without you, you enter just for a few minutes later price to retrace back to your ideal entry point. We've all been there, but this is why it's so important to not be in a rush to enter trades and just be simply patient and trust your analysis and stick to the playbook, right? So after price held this level as resistance here, this is when we went for the sell setup. Very simple. We enter price off resistance levels, we enter buys off support levels. So we see here price was struggling to hold this low as resistance, which is why we didn't take the trade here. But after price broke back down below and held the low as resistance here, that's when we pulled the trigger and went for the trade. So we're in the advanced play signal. You see the date May 2nd. You see gold. You see the time we entered at 9:32 a.m. You see the entry SL, the TPs. You see the TPs getting hit, right? Then we go to here, same exact date. So again, price is treating as low as resistance. Did one more retest, beautiful drop to the downside, right? Perfect. So again, a lot of people probably would have went for buys here, but this is why you need to identify the trend on the bigger time frame and follow the flow of price on the bigger time frame. Because if I was on the smaller time frame and I saw price break this level, treat it as support, I would have assumed looking for buys here. But then when price did this when people would have chalked it up to the game saying fake outs and liquidity sweeps. But in all actuality, like we broke down the beginning of the video, we was in a downtrend. So it makes sense to only go for sells in a downtrend. And it makes sense that when volume kicked in, we see how quick price dropped to the downside versus when there was low volume in the retracement, how long it took for price to come here versus how long it took for price to come back down to here, right? So it's that simple, y'all. It's literally that simple. You only go for high probability, high quality setups. You always wait for retest confirmations. And you always want to enter buys off support, sells off resistance. If y'all enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below any questions, comments, concerns you may have. Make sure to hit that first link in the description and join the free Signal free Telegram. If you're interested in learning how to identify these levels, my Signal service, my mentorship program, make sure to hit those links in the description. But before you make a decision, let me tell you a little bit about those details. Advanced Play Signal, we trade Tokyo session exclusively with the members. We trade London session and then New York. Just like the Sunday chart analysis I drop in the free signal, I drop one every day during New York session called the New York Price Watch List. This is where I go over the trades we took during Tokyo session, London session, and possible setups going into New York. I don't just say we're looking for buys or looking for sells. I explain why we're looking for buys, why we're looking for sells, and then I take it a step further and go over key price points to look for entries and exits on. As you can see here, I call this signal. You see I'm walking y'all through what's going on with the trades we're in. I'm giving y'all updates to what I talked about in the New York Price Watch List. And then of course you see me showing y'all screenshots to visually show y'all what's going on behind the scenes, or what I see on my end behind the scenes. All right, we also have exclusive live streams that we go live during New York news events at least twice a week. And just like the London session lives, if you missed the live, they're recorded and posted in here so you can watch them when you get a chance. You have access to over 500 videos of daily chart analysis and weekly live streams. And in fact, you have access to even the ones last year in 2022. Then there's also the pinned messages like the account size key, the student and member group chat, and much more. Now I also have the course, of course. The course doesn't just teach you my trading strategy, it also teaches you how to read the charts, because that's what I teach y'all. You saw I had no indicators, no trend lines. It's simply just market flow and trading and entering and exiting off key price levels. Now all the stuff that I just went over, you get access to all that stuff in the course channel. So that way, not only do you have the step-by-step playbook of how to look and read any chart at all times, but you have ongoing chart analysis, ongoing education for life. Now I also have one-on-one sessions. One-on-one sessions also comes with access to the advanced play signal room and the student member group chat. That way you can earn while you learn, but then you also get 2 sessions a week that are recorded an hour long. But you also get 2 sessions a week that are recorded in an hour long and they're sent to you the same day. Those are yours to keep for life. So if you're interested in that, hit those links in the description. If y'all want to contact me directly, y'all can DM me on Instagram at playmaker_way. Also make sure to follow me on there, and TikTok _playmakerway_. I post daily on both pages. And I'll see y'all next time I'm live or next time I post a video. Peace. We out.